as you can see, we had a successful doe harvest this morning. We're just getting it hung up, and so been hunting hard this week. But there's been several emails about a particular subject that I love to talk about, and it's one of my favorite ways to hunt, and that's a thing called rattling in these bucks. And if you never had a chance to rattle in a buck, a wild whitetail deer, and rattle him in and grunt him in all the way to your stand, you're really missing a treat. I've been fortunate to do it several times and had a lot of success with it. And we're in the full swing of the rut now, so we're going to be buck hunting the rest of the year, and got our does out of the way. So going to be out doing a lot of rattling in the next few weeks. But I want to talk to you a little bit about rattling and grunting in whitetails. So come on along with me, and we'll discuss it a little bit, and I'll try to give you my knowledge and what's helped me over the years.
Several emails that I've received from people that wanted for me to explain how rattling and grunting in bucks work. I've been fortunate enough over the last 20 years to be able to rattle in some pretty nice bucks. In fact, one of my biggest bucks that I've ever harvested, I rattled in, and he came 300 yards, or he came about 200 yards, I guess, about 250 yards or so. I seen him, and he come charging. I mean, he just came charging in across the field, and just came up, 60 yards, from 300 to 250, right into about 60 yards. And that was several years ago. But that was one thing that always stuck in my mind, was the fact that if it had not been for rattling horns and a grunt call, I probably wouldn't have shot that deer, because that deer would probably never been where I was at. But it's almost like spring turkey hunting. If you can get a buck to change his course and to come where you're at, and you know that you draw that deer away from his natural travel corridor into your effective hunting range, I tell you, it's an experience that you'll never ever want to. Hunting will never be the same to you. Let's just put it like that. All right, I got a set of rattling horns here. You can use rattle bags or horns. Personally, I like the horns better, real ones, because I just don't like the little rattle bags. I don't think they have a realistic sound, but if it works for you, that's fine. But personally, I just like real horns. And the thing about rattling is the one thing that I see guys make mistake is that they want to rattle too fast. I want you to imagine two 150 class 10 pointers. All right, let's imagine 250 class 20-inch wide 10 pointers, and they're in a field, or they're in the timber, or whatever. But let's just say a field, and they're getting ready to square off. Deer don't move their head real fast when they fight, and a lot of people they rattle, and it's just so fast it sounds horrible. In other words, they'll do this. They'll bang the horns together. That is not realistic at all, because deer just don't move their head that fast. And you want to sound as real as you possibly can. I want you to imagine two 10-pointers, and they're squaring off. What they do is they'll always look for an opening, because they're trying to ram the other buck in the side and try to get in his vitals. They'll kill each other because they're in fight for dominance. So the slower you can rattle, the better. And what I mean by that is you don't want it too slow, but you don't want it too fast. If you have two 10-pointers, and that's what you're trying to sound like, or two bucks, mature bucks, you want to, first they're going to come together, they're going to clang together. This is where you get this sound. First thing you want to do is you want to take your horns, and you want to have this. Okay, that's where two 10-pointers squaring off. Remember the scenario. They're squaring off. He goes to jam the other one in the side, and the other one catches him. That's where you get that. Okay? Now your rattling begins, but you want your rattling to be slower. Okay, so it's like this. You want to go. That's the clang. All right? You see all the pauses in there? You want a lot of pushing. Because what they'll do is you watch two bucks fighting, either on a hunting video or you watch them out in the wild, they'll actually push each other. So there's more pushing than they are actually rattling. So you want that pushing sound. Hear that pushing? You want that pushing sound. Then they might break away. Then they'll start circling each other, trying to find another opening. Okay, then you want another clang, because here he goes, he's going to jab him in the side. So he comes around. You get another clang in there. But I want you to notice all the pauses. Hear the grinding. Get that grinding in there. Just like that. And break away. You need to tickle the tips a little bit. You know, when they're starting to break up, they might tickle the tips like that. But the main thing you want to remember is you want a lot of pushing. You don't want a lot of this. You don't want that, because it's just it's not natural. So you want a lot. Remember, you want that clang. Then you want a lot of grinding and pushing, just like this. Now the question is, how long do you rattle? Usually a good rattling sequence won't last but about 30 seconds. You don't want to go a minute or 2 minutes, because that's not natural. Really, it's not. The bucks are, you know, their fights end pretty quick. Maybe once, 1 in 100 times will it go over 2 or 3 minutes. You know, it's usually just, it's not a good ideal to rattle. Now, how often do you rattle? I usually rattle probably once every hour, maybe if it's a good frosty morning, maybe every 30 minutes, but that's pushing a little bit. Probably once every hour is good, because a lot of times you'll see, you know, you'll well, let's just put it like this. There'll be more bucks you won't see that you'll rattle in that you will see. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of deer that sometimes you'll take them 30 minutes, just like an old gobbler. It might take him 30 minutes to even get where you're at, because he may be, you know, way off in another holler somewhere. Bucks can usually hear a good set of rattling antlers, probably up to about 200 yards. So it might take him a while to work to you. All deer, remember, all deer are not going to come in charging, snorting. And I mean, it's great when they do, and it's wonderful. But you got to find that buck that is actually aggressive. But a lot of bucks are not aggressive. Now, will rattling work on small bucks? You better believe it. But they won't come in charging and looking to kill you, because they're smaller, and the curiosity a lot is with the smaller bucks. So when you rattle in a 4-pointer, 6-pointer, or a decent 8, or even a basket rack 10 or something, he'll come in sneaking. He'll come in curious and looking. So you want to watch. Mm-hmm. But you get them big old mature bucks, and a lot of times they'll come in with their ears pinned back or their tail fluffed up. They'll come in prancing, or they'll come in with their head all throwed up, with their neck hair raised. And when that happens, I'll tell you what, it's an experience that you will never ever forget. It will do something to you to see a big old whitetail buck come in to a pair of rattling horns. But the main thing is this: don't get crazy with them. Rattle about 30 seconds to a minute, maybe once every hour, and just do a lot of pushing. Remember, do the pushing, because just imagine in your head again the scenario. We put 2 big 20-inch 10-pointers. They're looking to jam each other. They're looking to ram each other. So they're not moving their head real fast. They're just grinding. All right? So just do a lot of pushing. All right? Just like that. Hear that? So there's a lot of pushing out. Now, you can beat the ground, make it sound more real. If you're sitting on the ground, make it sound real, and all that stuff. So just a few quick tips on rattling. Now, watch the other video. We're going to talk about grunting, and which works great with rattling, okay? So watch part 2 too.